are of consequence? In what ways are you impacting your community for the better? And in what ways are you participating in the greater good? Again, we thought that before, and we are, of course, going to have a formal acknowledgement of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We know that he's a very, very important graduate of the institution, but so too are you all expected to be important graduates of this institution that don't only hold up the precepts that Martin Luther King Jr. learned here, but that you all are able to develop expectations and precepts and be innovations and exercise the technology that is your humanness to again make the world better. Now I could sit up here and talk for a long time, as you see that I've done a little bit already, but what we wanted to do today is to ensure that this is student focused. So we'll spend as much time as it requires, at least until the end of the session, to go about and exercise ourselves a bit in recentering and giving a bit of a gut check as to why we are here, what things you are doing to bring purpose to your time at Morehouse College and the time after. So with that, I'll ask our discussants to introduce themselves. We'll be in a little bit of a conversation first, but I'll also ask if you all have any comments or questions to come forward. And then we'll close out by singing the college hymn, and then afterward, I can address with those of you all any questions that you might have relative to, again, the mechanics of Crown Forum. Does that make sense to you all?
Yes, sir.
You all are okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start. So, gentlemen, if you'll introduce yourselves, and I'll come join you.
Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for being part of this centering moment. My name is Aniaba Jean-Baptiste Nguesson. I am a senior mathematics, computer science, and economics triple major from Abidjan, Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire. And my quick journey to Morehouse was a sequence of events, of sure. And at the time, I was studying in South Africa at the African Leadership Academy. And the Oprah Winfrey Scholars had a visit, which turned into my introduction to Morehouse. And fast forward, I was able to be here in the fall of 2021. And so I'm really happy to be in conversation with you all today and discuss how we're feeling about this new movement, this new wave, what are the issues on our hearts in the national and also a global context. And so that's really a snapshot about who I am, and looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Christopher Lambry Jr. I am a sophomore studying philosophy and political science on a pre-law track from Atlanta, Georgia. And a little bit about me and how I kind of got to Morehouse. I'm a native of Atlanta, born and raised by a single mother, oldest of three. My mother actually attended Booker T. Washington High School. She had me when she was 16. She didn't get a chance to graduate high school. Neither did my father. He was sort of in and out of the carceral system up until I was about 17, 18, just recently re-entered actually. And that sort of led to me trying to figure out my sort of way in society and the world and figuring out what it is I wanted to do with myself. And eventually that led me to meeting a group of Morehouse alum who would then sort of introduce me to what it meant to be a part of the Morehouse community. I take a visit, learned a little bit more about what this whole thing was. And I eventually sort of end up here doing all of the things that I've currently been doing around campus. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate that. Is this mic okay, or it sounds fuzzy, doesn't it? Sounds right. Can I use it? Yeah. Is this work? Yeah, that's a little better. I'll just trade. Is that okay? So one of the things that I'm curious about, you talked about this moment. What moment do you all feel like we are in? I've got my own opinions and whatnot, but one of the things that I said that I thought was important is to make sure, and I appreciate, Aniaba, what it is that you said again backstage, is centering you all, because I think so often what can happen is you have elders or folks who went before who were able to say, well, when I went to Morehouse, what we were doing and all that kind of stuff. what moment are you all in, and what do you see your responsibilities as being?
So I would say for me, this moment is one of leadership transition and crisis. Looking at, broadly speaking, where I'm from, Ivory Coast, recently we were so far the latest West African country to expel French troops from their bases following Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali. So there's been globally and nationally here in the United States a transition in leadership. And for me as an international student, I'm reminded of why am I here? What is going to be my role in all of these shifts that are happening on the continent here in the United States where I am now? And I'm always reminded to center myself around the mission and also the strategy of Morehouse College. So we all know the mission for sure. Developing men with leadership, disciplined minds who will lead lives of leadership and service. And Morehouse.
Let me ask, do you all believe in that mission?
The mission of Morehouse College is to develop men with disciplined minds who would lead lives of leadership and service.
Do you all believe in that mission? Okay, I'm just checking. Go ahead.
For sure. And so using that mission, but also the strategy of Morehouse. So every now and then Morehouse will announce a strategic plan. Some of you guys might know about the 2021 to 2026 strategic plan and the different pillars. One of these pillars is Morehouse Beyond Borders. And Morehouse has a plan to globalize the voice of the campus to reach frontiers internationally. And for me, I see myself as a bridge in that conversation. Usually on the continent, when we come to the US, people don't know about HBCUs. And for me, getting to know about Morehouse through an unexpected visit led by Dr. Adams at my high school in South Africa. If I wasn't in high school in South Africa, because for sure I'm from Ivory Coast in West Africa, if these events hadn't happened, how do I start to even consider institutions like Morehouse? So my role for sure is, how do we build cross-cultural coalitions? How do we build platforms that allow us as young people to know about these experiences? How do we tell the Morehouse stories beyond borders? And that's the role that I've been playing with Morehouse. And I think that's where I see myself looking ahead at the leadership transitions on the continent here in the United States and asking myself, after 4 plus years, what is going to be my role in cross-cultural coalitions? Yeah.
Do you see us as being in a moment of crisis?
Definitely. I think in terms of leadership, as Aniaba stated, definitely a moment of crisis, both nationally. I'm not sure at Morehouse specifically, because I do know we're in terms of transitioning with our president, but I definitely think nationally we are in terms of crisis. And that's sort of where my Morehouse matriculation has been grounded. It's sort of been in this space of figuring out and being reflective of what my goals and aspirations are. How do I sort of fit in all of what the Morehouse mission stands for, being a global citizen, etc. And I've tried to sort of fit myself in a bubble, if you will, of social change. My first year coming to Morehouse, I was speaking a little while ago. One of my earliest memories was being a part of the Deacon Holloman march that happened. For those who don't know, Deacon Holloman was an elder of the community. He died not far from here, actually, maybe 2 streets up from the campus. And the march was about to get the sort of footage released about what happened. It was a police brutality incident. And that was sort of my first introduction into this sort of social change, being a part of the community, advocacy, etc. And I think it was a way for me to not only just explore sort of what I was sort of meant to do, or what I wanted to do at least, or sort of find my way in sort of this Morehouse community. And I think I've kind of taken that experience and I sort of pushed it into other realms of my life. So just recently, obviously, in speaking about sort of leadership crisis, et cetera, I was elected to the executive board for the College Democrats of Georgia, and I'm also a part of the some other various organizations on campus, but just trying to help because I am a native of Atlanta, trying to see what change I can make in my community, what it is and how I fit, and how can I use my Morehouse education to exacerbate all of that, all of what we do at Morehouse. So I definitely think we're in a leadership crisis for sure.
So do you think that each of the individuals here at Morehouse College, who were students at Morehouse College, have a responsibility to push against that crisis to be a solution?
There's a quote in the Welcome Center. If anyone has ever sort of read any of the posters, but it says, "Good things don't come to those who wait, but to those who agitate." And to your point, I definitely think there has to be a level of agitation we have to have when we're dealing with systems of change. I know in speaking, I know we'll probably get to it, but I think King says in Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, he talks about this idea of people sort of being awake through times of social change, and that there are the protectors of the status quo, and there are fraternities of the indifferent who are notorious for sleeping through times of revolutions and social change. And so I think that burden falls right on us. Yeah, like I think that it's sort of our duty and responsibility to remain awake and make sure we're tapping one another and say, hey, are you watching this? Are you being reflective of what's going on in society? Are you seeing what Trump, whatever he's talking about, what he's talking about on MSNBC or Fox or whatever? But it's sort of being aware of those things and having an understanding of all of that. And ensuring that we are agitating against the protectors of the status quo, the white supremacists, the racists, the misogyny, etc. And it's that we are continuing to sort of push this mission and be responsible for our well-being. So I definitely think that we have a responsibility and a duty to make sure we're keeping one another awake.
But what's your major? Are you political science are you political science major?
I'm political science.
So that seems to kind of fit kind of hand in glove, right? Yeah. With what you're talking about. But what about folks who are in STEM, or there doesn't seem to be as direct a line? How do you still charge them? And how is it that we expect them to assume the responsibility of being agitators if they're in a discipline that seems kind of a little bit more rigid?
For sure. And just before that, I just want to share some quick thoughts on your earlier question. The HBCU experience to me has this unique trait and emphasis on community. I call that 45-degree leadership. How can we be vertically successful but horizontally driven? And so Morehouse...
You came up with that?
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty good. That's good. Okay, go ahead.
So that idea of 45-degree leadership is, for me, something that resonates across the 100 plus HBCUs we have in the nation. And it's at the foundation of our ethos as an institution. So I think we do have, tremendous responsibility to be of utility to the context right now. Now, for STEM majors, I study math and computer science, and most recently was really exposed to the use of data science for social justice work, looking at analyses in police bias or education discrepancies between genders and all these social contexts. I think for people in STEM, there's definitely a need for technical skills. Beyond that, though, even someone who's majoring in math or something else, chemistry, because of this Morehouse education, I would love to believe that we have that grounding from the basis in social justice. And that will intensify everybody's interest across the majors to use what they have in their toolkit to be of use to the context. So surely at Morehouse, I know that it can be, it's possible for folks across the liberal arts spectrum to find ways to be of utility, but really we also have that heritage of horizontal driven impact, 45-degree leadership heritage. So I think it's there. Yeah.
So tell me this, and this is to both of you all before I open this up a little bit, because I want to hear what you all say with respect to questions among one another for perhaps the brothers who are here on stage. So you all have a responsibility. I'm curious, what responsibility does the institution have to you? what responsibility do professors have? Do administrators have? You kind of tip your hat a little bit at this moment of a change in leadership at the institution. What are the responsibilities that we have to be in alignment with this 45-degree leadership, this history of HBC orientation, and how do we responsibly and ethically continue to extol the virtues of our most prominent and respected alumni? How do we do that and ensure that we're still doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a sort of multifaceted answer, but
and this is for you all too. So if you want to answer that question coming up here, what responsibilities does the institution have to you?
I think first and foremost, I think at its core, Morehouse is here to serve as sort of a vehicle to become conscientious of whatever is going on in the world, right? It's sort of through classrooms, through Count Forum, through those micro discussions we have on Brown Street, whatever it is that you're sort of discussing in the gates of Morehouse, is to become aware and conscientious of everything that's sort of going on. And I think at its core, that's the sort of responsibility Morehouse has to have. And that's the responsibility it has given itself throughout the course of history, sort of creating men who are conscious, who are then going to go on and sort of lead lives of discipline and leadership. And I think, I think at its core, that's what it is.
I had a conversation in Gloucester Hall with a brother yesterday, and for it's registration week, so Gloucester is packed. The conversation was about what we expect from the school, which leads to your question. I say, show me some love and help me win. And what I mean by that is, surely at Morehouse and across HBCUs, these are probably like some of the few spaces where professors look at you and see the best that you can be. And I'm parroting this from Dr. Adams, and she talks about how by just being here, you get this close-knit community and people want you to succeed. And so professors play a major role in taking us from infancy intellectually to mature, to have a voice and to frame our voice and to use our talent, treasure, and time. So the role of professors, the role of mentors, the role of educators, staff members, I think it's tremendous in giving us that, helping us mature to be of use to the context. And so that's how I think about it. Show me some love and help me win. And I think it's a two-way street. We have to also do the work to meet our mentors, our faculty, our professors halfway. But I think without the professors, really, it's an educational institution. So we kind of come here with maybe some basis of intensity about how we want to act in the world. But that transformation arc passes through you guys inculcating these values, content learning, taking classes, writing papers, research. That intellectual friction is necessary, but it comes, most of it really from you guys as professors in classes, just giving us an edge, giving us a perspective, educating us. So I think that's it's of capital importance.
So to paraphrase one of our community's penultimate icons, Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? I mean, why is it important for love to be in the equation here in terms of, you can't hear me? What does love have to do with it? So what does love have to do? Why is love have to be a part of the equation, to love you and to help you win? Why does that have to be a part of the equation at this institution?
I think love requires no boundaries. And I think that's sort of why it's imperative that it's at the core of everything that we do at Morehouse, because there are no boundaries to there are some, but essentially there are no boundaries to the sort of relationships that you can develop with professors, specifically at HBCUs, of course, but particularly at Morehouse, right? It's sort of those conversations in Dr. Roach's office with her just sort of sitting there talking to us about whatever, or those Brown Street conversations with Professor Davis about whatever it may be, right? But I think that's love in its rawest form. It's sort of that willingness to just be. And I think that there are no boundaries to that. I think it's sort of through that we gain whatever it is that we're supposed to develop intrinsically within ourselves.
But can't I teach you that without loving you? I mean, and I'm pushing you around here because, I mean, I have some very definitive thoughts around that. I think that if a professor or an administrator does not love the students who are in this space, they don't need to be here.
I think I agree, but I think that what makes this place special is the shared experiences we have within that love, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the idea that I can sort of, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about how if you were to take a picture of everyone in this room, who is the first person you look for in that picture? And most people would answer, well, I look for myself. I make sure my hair looks good, my whatever, my outfit, etc., my haircut. But he goes on to say that's sort of the problem with society today, that most kids, most people, most black children do not see themselves in that picture. And so I think in talking about love and this idea about how we sort of experience that, I think Morehouse encapsulates that perfectly. We see ourselves in that picture. We see ourselves through the monuments, through the names of the buildings, through the professors, et cetera. And so I think that's sort of what, on top of the love, we have that shared experience with one another, and we're allowed to experience more of what this place is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any questions or comments that you all might have? Come on up. See if this other mic is not working.
Hello, I'm Nathaniel Roman. I'm a freshman economics major from DC. And I just wanted to say, adding on to that point of like love and the importance.
I don't want to disrespect you by giving me the jacked up guy.
And to the importance of love, I think part of love is that when you love somebody or love something, you give them part of yourself and you take part of them. Like you are, you're combined. You're like, you become connected. And I think that's important for you then have like a personal interest in their future and their success and the success of the communities that they belong to.
How y'all doing? Oh wow, that's loud. My name's Lance Johnson Jr. I'm a freshman cinematography major from Charleston, South Carolina. And to go off not only just to your question, but also off of love, to start, what does an institution owe us? I think one of the main things an institution, especially one that's this prestigious, that's up to this caliber that we have, that has a community.
Specific to us, not this institution. Be specific to us. Be specific to Morehouse, please.
Okay. Especially with the brotherhood that's shown here, with the black excellence that's seen, with the connections that I'm seeing between like-minded black individuals who are in an environment that nurtures them, that sees them as in their future and not in their past, right? I think one thing on top of that the institution definitely owes us is a good environment. I'm speaking less towards student body, because we really do have that, more towards facilities, more towards proper teaching environments and living environments. I think that's one thing that the Morehouse really does owe us. Is that seen as much? I don't really know, although Hero is pretty, we up there, but I think when you're thinking of love has no bounds, I think that's extremely true, but that also needs to be seen in every aspect. I know that some people in their classrooms or in their living situations aren't really feeling as much love and aren't really feeling the no bounds portion of that love should be experienced and that it should be shown. And so that's one thing that I feel like is owed to every single person coming to an institution. that is so valued and that's so upheld, and that's something that every single person deserves coming into the school.
Thank you.
Hello, brothers. My name is Julian Hutchins, a junior mathematics major from Silver Spring, Maryland. And I think that sort of answering the question of what the college owes us, I think it's a notion of being local while we continue to expand to be a global campus. Aniaba, you talked about how the college has in its mission statement trying to expand globally and become an international force. But I feel like what the students need most is what I find in the math department, which is a notion of being a very close-knit and tight-knit community. And that's really what has allowed me to succeed. I found in freshman year I didn't really have that because, you know, you come in and you're part of this huge student body and it's sort of intimidating figuring out your place in this world, and specifically with like practical aspects of registering for classes. You got to go around and do a lot of stuff, and you're sort of pushed in all these different directions. But then once you find your department, especially if it's a small department like it is in mathematics, you become part of a nice community. I wonder how the college is going to continue to promote that feeling even as we expand. Like, how do we still have that feeling of closeness even as we become more popular across seas? As we have more students wanting to enroll and we don't necessarily have the facilities to accommodate them or the housing for them, and it sort of feels like they're being pushed in every direction. So that's what I feel like the college need to focus on.
I am Noah Mize, sophomore CTIMS major from Mableton, Georgia, and I feel like something this college needs to work on is communication. Because you talk about love, and a part of a loving relationship is communication. And I've noticed that this college has an issue with that. Because a personal anecdote, this semester I was dropped from all my classes for a payment that was added after the due date, and I wasn't even communicated any of that information. It was just by pure luck and the grace of God that I happened to notice before classes started. And I feel like people at least sending me an email would have helped me. And also, it was issues with last year, me registering for classes this year and last semester. It was talking about registering, and my advisor talking to me about that. And I feel like she wasn't necessarily the most helpful in that aspect, because she told me not to do it in a way that sounded like it was not possible. But here I am in my second semester doing it, about to complete the requirements. And I feel like if, number one, talk to us when things are happening, because I went to the financial office, they didn't know what was going on, the registrar's office didn't know what was going on. And if we have that communication between offices and between students, we can make this whole situation a lot smoother. And then also change the language we use between students and administration, because I have heard that from multiple people, their advisor telling them not to do this because they made it sound like it was impossible rather than it just being difficult. So that's something that I feel like this college needs to work on.
Communication. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Lennox Lee. I'm a junior education studies major from New Rochelle, New York. What I think the college, when I think about love, I think about when people treat others very well, do things nice for people, and they actually have pride for the person. They would actually take time to spend time with them, because that's the right thing to do. That's what love is about. That's what it is. That's what it is, and that's part of the college. For Morehouse, we just try to make sure all the brothers do well in their classes by making sure the brothers are going to office hours, making sure that they're on top of their schoolwork, and making sure they have great connections with your professors, and that's how everyone will do well in school. Amen.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Brian Adamsaki, junior marketing major from West Orange, New Jersey. And one thing I really wanted to talk about was passion. I think that's one thing that the school can work on through faculty, because I feel like from that standpoint, if we see passion coming from our teachers, coming from financial aid, coming from speakers, you know what I'm saying, that's gonna touch us a whole lot more when things go wrong, either in dorms or school buildings, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like we as students have to hold our faculty, our school responsible for those things when we don't see them, right? For those of you guys in dorms, if something is wrong with the dorms, you should step up and say something. If something wrong with the class, you should step up and say something. You know, always make it one of those times, because we do a whole lot of complaining, but I feel like make it come from a place of passion with the school first.
Let me ask this, because I think that I think what we're talking about here is, sorry. Thank you, sorry about that. God, I'm going to throw this thing. Want to use this one? I'm good. No, I think I think this is really important, because I think that getting in the in the weeds here and talking about the specifics and kind of tensions that might exist between professors or what your dorms look like, they do translate into how it is that we demonstrate care, love, and passion for you all, right? And so this idea of holding professors and administrators accountable so that you can best be situated to change the world is important, right? Those are interconnected. So I know that I hear, as people are coming up, I know it can feel like or seem like a complaint, but I wanna also suggest this: as we are holding professors accountable, and as we are holding administrators accountable, I think it becomes really important for you guys to hold one another accountable, because I think that so often what happens is, and we know this, right? I went to Morehouse and graduated in '95, and I know that I graduated with a BA in psychology, but I got a PhD in finagling, right? Or finessing. And so we know that there's an ability to do all kinds of things. And I'll use a local example. We know there's all kinds of ways for you to finesse Crown Forum, right?
Of course.
Get in your group chat. Now, I'd be careful, because y'all don't know who's in the group chat with you, but get in your group chat, you know, get the responses for the prompts and whatnot. But are you all being ethical in that space? You know, in what ways are you all holding yourselves accountable into high degrees of ethical engagement and responsibility? So absolutely, as we're talking about being passionate, as we're talking about coming from places of love and extending loving kindness, I think that loving kindness also needs to extend to one brother to another who is here at the institution in terms of holding one another accountable. Right? Okay.
Of course. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Woodfolk, sophomore religion major from Chicago, Illinois. I just wanted to touch on, you really touched my heart on the accountability. What I found at Morehouse doesn't owe me anything. They've given me the blueprint. But what I owe my institution and my brothers and my department is accountability. The crown has been placed. It's holding my brothers accountable, whether I have to drag them through the mud to get to that crown, to grow into it. A proverb says that you are planting a seed in fertile soil. It's whether you're tending to the seed, right? The parable of the sower says some cast in rocky soil, some cast on the cliff, but the good sower sows into fertile ground, waters and tends to the seed. We're in fertile soil, brothers. I'm challenging you, holding you accountable to tend to the seeds, not only that you sow, not only that people before you sowed, but what your brother is sowing into himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Jairus Bates, sociology major, education minor from Atlanta, Georgia. I just want to kind of build upon the topic of love. I think love, especially in like what we're learning and again what we're teaching each other as far as brothers, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's a very competitive environment that we have in Morehouse, but it's also putting each other on and putting each other on our shoulders and helping each other. So if I got an internship and I know I'm going for a different internship and I'm not gonna be able to take that position, I'm recommending my brother Jason, you know what I'm saying? I'm recommending my brother, you know what I'm saying? It's a very competitive but very loving environment that we should have at Morehouse, you know what I mean? I think also it goes into teaching from teachers. I feel like when you're really loving your student, it instills confidence. It instills confidence in what you're learning. It instills confidence in translating it to the real world, going out in the real world and really putting in the pain and the effort that it really takes to be a black man in society and really succeeding. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so again, also educating ourselves on, I think Morehouse also owes us the education on just, again, building on top of what it is to be a black man in society, what's it really going to take. You have to be strong. You have to be independent. You have to put your head down and not look at the next person in the next lane. You know what I mean? Genuinely though, you know, like just put your head down and grind. Like the white man's gonna be there. The white man's, once he's born, he comes out with white skin. He's already, you know what I'm saying, closer to the finish line than us, you know? And that's just off his skin. That's just off his eyes, just off his hair. Like they looking at us and they're like, damn, I don't know if I want to take him, you know, just because he's black. So it's just our responsibility to start here and really put our head down and really start here and just build the culture in each other. But yeah.
Good morning. My name is Isaiah Tripp Alvarado. I'm a freshman music major, art history minor from Atlanta, Georgia. I wanted to speak on what I believe the institution owes me, and I feel like I've had this, I wouldn't call it a problem, but a predicament for a little while. I feel like at the school, sometimes we have an issue with respect, not just among the students, but among the staff, and it's a problem. I feel like I might not pay a whole bunch because of financial aid, but we all pay a tuition. We all work hard to be here, and I shouldn't have to walk into the cafeteria and hear the lunch lady talking to me like I'm some little kid. I don't do that. Security guards, that's a problem. Teachers, that's a problem. Faculty, that's a problem. And other students, that's also a problem. But I feel like you can't put yourself in a situation where you are a security guard or where you are in charge and still speak to us out of your neck or speak to us disrespectfully, because you put yourself on that pedestal and you're supposed to be setting an example for the rest of us so that we can be the Morehouse men that you guys want us to be. If you want us to be Morehouse men that are kind and hardworking, show us some respect, and so that we can be respectable, kind, hardworking men. And I feel like all of us could work on that, but especially some of the faculty.
Thank you for that. Let me add this too, because I think that you predicated some of what you were saying, you know, how much money you spend. No matter how much money you spend, you should be respected if you're in this space. And the respect is tethered to this idea of love that we're talking about, right? And I invite us to dig a little bit deeper into this construct of love as we're talking about King and talking about the courage to love. Because even for us to say that we love one another, you know, as black men is oftentimes seen as so taboo. So I appreciate you bringing that up, brother. Thank you. Yep.
What's up, y'all? My name is Quincy Butler. I'm a freshman political science major from Oregon. And what I have to say this institution owes us is to always seek justice, because that's what a lot of us came here for, is we wanted Morehouse College to be a place that represented justice. And so with that being said, Morehouse College should never take the side of the oppressor, and like that's what they owe us, because Morehouse College should never take the side of the oppressor, because that makes everything that we stand for performative. And with that being said, we're in MLK Chapel right now. Would he want that to be what we're saying, what we're representing? And we want to be an example to everyone. So with that being said, Morehouse College should never take the side of the oppressor.
Good morning. My name is Kanye Sweeney. Good morning. My name is Kanye Sweeney. I'm an English major, junior from Kennesaw, Georgia. For me, I think the most important thing with our discussion of love and the notion of love and what love is, especially considering, we have inherited Martin Luther King's legacy coming here, being in the chapel named after him. It is important, and I want to encourage all of you to do everything from an ethos of love. Love should be our driving motivation. It should be the thing that we are all driven by. Yes, that sounds very good because it's the truth. But especially if we're going to a Christian school, and just a school that really prides itself on community service, I just want to remind you all, love should always be the driving force behind what we do. The love of what we decide to pursue or the love of each other. But love should always be present in whatever we do, but especially while we're Morehouse students.
And of course, the institution is predicated on baptism, but this is a multi-denominational interfaith space, we know, right? Absolutely.
David Price told me this yesterday. Brand new professor to me. I didn't know him. He's a voice acting coach. He told me, Morehouse will teach you how to suffer. As men of Morehouse, we owe it to ourselves to know how to suffer. Everything that everyone's mentioned is valid and true and real. But we need to know how to live through adversity in all walks of life, even from people that we love, from an institution that we love. Because we shape it. We are Morehouse.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Caleb. I'm a freshman business administration major with the focus in marketing. I feel like Morehouse owes us opportunities as well as networking, which is why I'm having a fashion show to give all the proceeds to those in need, such as those experiencing homelessness, late April, with the student government and Lovingstone. And a pop-up shop, January 24th through the 26th.
So let me offer you all an opportunity for some closing words. I'll offer a word, and then we'll do the college hymn.
First of all, I really want to appreciate all of you guys who took the time and thoughtfulness to share your words. I believe that we need these spaces often, spaces where we are leading conversations and we get to hear from voices we don't often hear from. Can we agree that this was a powerful moment for all of us? So we need more of that. So these will be my closing remarks, and I'm looking forward to see you guys on campus and having even more intensified conversations, because we need to hear each other in these spaces and to be open to hearing other perspectives. A leaving note will be famous African philosopher Amadou Ampate Ba says, "If you think like me, you are my brother. But if you don't think like me, you're twice my brother, because you open me up to new horizons." And so that is something to remember as we have difficult conversations. We don't always have to agree, but there's so much growth in hearing other perspectives, because eventually we're all trying to grow, which requires pain, which requires friction. And so that'll be my leaving remark, and thank you guys for your time today.
First and foremost, just thank everybody for being a part of this space. I definitely think we should continue having these spaces, continue expressing love to one another. I think that is the unifying force in all of what's going on nationally, locally, etc. Just continue loving one another, continue having difficult conversations, to echo some of the sentiments my brother shared, and enjoy each other's spaces. So thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us today. I want to thank you all, those who came onto the stage. I do want to challenge you all in much of the same way that you all have challenged each other here in terms of accountability. You all talk a lot, and this is through my classrooms. We talk and are comfortable with talking about our feelings. I feel this, I feel that, and certainly that is something that is valuable. But I challenge you all also to be scholars who know and who think and who match that knowledge and that thoughtfulness with your feelings, so that you're able to make change. When you're given an opportunity, when you're given a mic, it's important for you to be thoughtful and engaging with respect to how it is that you all are participating with the audience. How are you all movements? How are you using this institution? How are you using yourselves as technology to change the times? And I challenge you all to see if you all are in crisis or not. Because a lot of times you can feel like you're not in crisis and the world is being taken over right from under you. So I challenge you all to read, to be engaged, to be active citizens, to have the courage to love and to hold one another accountable. Everybody in this room isn't going to do it. We know this. Everybody in this room is not going to be the type of leader that we need. But many of you all will be. But you have a responsibility to learn and to do and to know and to think and to have the courage to love. I love you all very much. Please let's stand up and sing the hymn and go.